then king c4.
Ah, and if b5 first, b4.
Yep.
To the back cave. Let's show what happened. So, okay, first, everyone, Wesley shaking his head because he blew the win right here. The point is, when you bring your king up very actively, what we were going to highlight is at some point if black just sits, now you've taken your king from all the way over here, right, all the way up here, so that suddenly a queen trade is just an easily winning king and pawn ending. So it's dangerous and kind of weird to bring the king out with the queen still on the board. But here, this was a really good example of why a centralized and dominant queen is so good, because it kind of makes the king's journey to up the board safe. But here he gives check too soon, thinking he already got good enough. He was hoping for king e7, king c5, and he's winning. What he missed was this very nice defensive fine b6, and the king is shut out. And I thought black was winning now, and I'll show why. The point was, I thought at some point black gets here. And the point is, let's say you do this and white doesn't play b4. Eventually, you create this outside pass pawn. You sacrifice it, and in the end, your king is closer. This is just king and pawn endings kind of 101. But Robert pointed out why I'm an international master and he's a grandmaster, because that's not exactly what will happen here. The point is, if b5 is played, then b4, and it's still locked up. And if a5 is played, then king c4. So actually, the reason these guys just kind of shuffle pucked this one home is because neither side can really actually make progress. So there you go, Robert. How was that analysis session?
That was great. I paid attention to almost none of it. No, I'm just kidding. That was that was really good. No, you explained exactly why. At first glance, it looks like black should be winning because you have the outside pawns, but in fact, it's a move-by-move situation where it's very concrete and in fact doesn't work. However, Maxime might not have gotten away with the win in that last game. In this game, his position looks excellent, because white is barreling down at this pawn on e5. This move b4 not only threatens pawn to b5 to kick the knight away from the defense of the e5 pawn, but also threatens knight to c5, hopping into the action, protecting d3, attacking b7 and e6 simultaneously. And a move like b6 is a move that you typically do not want to play for black, because look at that bishop on g2.
Yep.
It's a bishop on the long diagonal unopposed, and so white's pieces are just better, black's pawns are looser. This should be Maxime's game for the taking, but he has to find a real knockout blow. And he starts with knight c5, of course, is a good move.
Yeah, I want to bring up the back cave real quick, because while I was instructing on the king and pawn ending, I missed the opening. So how did Maxime get... This is the best opening we've seen him have in a while, right?
Yeah, maybe all match.
I mean, maybe all match. And look, he went really kind of just off the beaten path, plays a King's Indian attack, and so takes this sort of weird fianchetto response. But really, I guess it gets wild with f5. I guess f5 is probably the move, so we'll be regretting, because that just overextends. And as Robert said, in the current structure, e5 is such an easy target. Here comes queen b3. You've got diagonal problems. I'm with you. I like Maxime's chances here. So,
and there, I was going to say, is knight takes b7 working here? It does not work. But my idea by knight takes b7 is to play c5 with check on my next move. But if you play knight takes b7, bishop b7, c5 check, there's queen e6, which saves the day. So it looks like black barely gets out of that one. And all right, d4 played to say, well, you can't take me on d4. Your rook on e8 is under attack back there. And all right. And
yeah,
I don't know what to make of this, because now both sides are gaining activity. Black gets control of the e5 square. White is advancing that d pawn from d3 to d5, in which case, well, I think it's helpful for black, because now at least you have some life in the position. Knight cd5 is a good move. So Wesley, I think, picking up some momentum in the position, but it's very complex. A lot of pieces concentrated in the center. And, well, there are going to be tactics here, that's for sure.
Yep.
And, all right, 2 bishops for white. The f5 pawn, now vulnerable. How do you actually protect that pawn? Queen f8. Wow, not a move you typically think of right away. Can I sack with knight takes f5, take on e4 next? Probably not. They're not my pieces, so I'm glad to do it. But
that's how I would blow the advantage here, would be unnecessarily sacking. I have rubbed off on you so much.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I always say, if they're not my pieces, I'm happy to. Wait. Oh, e7 check, rook takes b. Wait. e7 check, queen f7. Okay. I'm like missing all the action here, because I thought e7 just wins a rook. Because if you take my queen on b3, I take yours on f8 with check. But after e7, you just block with your queen on
queen f7. So, I mean, e7 would win a rook for everyone's tactics if that line happened. Robert wasn't wrong about that, but the point is that e7, just queen f7, and black is okay. So Maxime is still much better here, but he hasn't been able to convert yet. So
yeah.
Well, got to give a real quick shout out that we just had a $2,000 donation from Gas Trader in honor of getting the Femme Fatale kind of charity activities going. So one of the big things about this match, everyone, is not only is it for fun, and there's prize money on the line for the ladies to compete for, but it's also a charity stream, and they are raising money for charity. So a $2,000 donation for Hype. One, that should be more of a reason for everyone to stick around after the show. Make sure you watch the Femme Fatale matchup, which is coming up right after this SEC match. But also, amazing donation there. Wow, $2,000, that's a lot of money, and thanks for that, and looking forward to everything that happens there. So, there you go.
Yep, that's going to be a lot of fun. We already pointed out who we thought were the slight favorites. Yep.
Okay, white is trying to work the bishop pair now as the new advantage in the position, but you got to give So credit, because if we were evaluating what was going on earlier, Robert, with that overextended center and e5 being a weakness, that did not happen here.
Yeah, what did happen?
In fact, Wesley is probably just better now as black. He looks about as confused as we feel. He's like, how did I get this position?
All of a sudden, black is the one with a passed pawn here.
Yep.
And is black also up 2 pawns? I mean, everything collapsed.
Yeah, black broke through and ended up using the center with the 2 knights. So Wesley pretty good at this 3-minute chess thing. As we pointed out in the stats earlier, he has basically dominated the 3-1 segments in his SCC history, including winning the 3-1 segment against Magnus Carlsen, a match he lost. So this particular segment, even when he goes down, tends to be where he kind of hangs his hat.
Yeah.
And he's playing well right now, up on the clock against Maxime.
Rookie one wins immediately.
Rookie one's just game over. And he look at that head nod. He's like, yo, did you see that? I just played rookie one. Could we get a gif of that? So like,